Are you ready for a story that will leave you speechless? Imagine returning home after a month away only to find that your family's land has been stolen, and in its place, a towering luxury hotel now stands, built without your consent. This is the story of Elijah Cole, a gripping tale of betrayal, resilience, and justice that will keep you holding your breath. Elijah Cole gripped the steering wheel of his SUV as he turned onto Maple Hollow Road, a path he knew as intimately as his own heartbeat. He expected to see the familiar rows of golden wheat dancing in the breeze. But as he rounded the final bend, his breath caught in his throat. Instead of the tranquil fields, he was met with a glimmering monolith of glass and steel. A massive hotel now stood where generations of Coles had lived and worked. He slammed the brakes. The vehicle shuddered to a stop. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. His stomach turned to stone. It had only been a month. He'd been overseas filming a documentary. Before leaving, he'd made sure everything was in order. The land wasn't for sale. No discussions, no plans. And now this? The hotel loomed in mockery. Elijah stepped out, his boots crunching the disturbed gravel. Workers in neon vests moved about, oblivious to the man whose history they'd just bulldozed. A clipboard-carrying foreman approached. "Can I help you?" he asked, not recognizing the man before him. "This is my land," Elijah replied, voice low and steady. "I'm Elijah Cole." The worker stiffened. "Oh, I just follow orders." Elijah barely heard him. His phone buzzed. A message from his cousin, Dana. "Emergency. Call me." He turned his eyes back to the hotel. Every step toward it felt like trespassing on stolen ground. A bold sign near the entrance read, "Willow Glen Community Development. Approved by HOA Board." And beneath it, Project Director, Eleanor Grant. His jaw clenched. Eleanor Grant, president of the local HOA. The same woman who had hounded him for years with complaints about the farm's aesthetics. She had long pushed to make the land community appropriate. Now, she had what she wanted. Elijah found a table stacked with permits and documents. He flipped through them, piecing together the betrayal. The signatures, the zoning changes, the approval dates, all orchestrated while he was away. A clause caught his eye, Community Improvement Zone. Legal, yes, but barely. It reeked of manipulation. He turned back to the SUV. Questions burned in his mind. How long had this been in motion? How deep did Eleanor's influence run? Back in town, he ducked into a coffee shop. In a corner booth, he scribbled notes. Timelines. Questions. Discrepancies. The waitress noticed his intensity. "Rough day?" she asked. Elijah gave a tired smile. "Just getting started." At the old farmhouse, Elijah searched the barn. Dust danced in the sunlight as he dug through decades of records. His grandfather, meticulous in all things, had saved every document. Tax records, property maps, correspondence. He flipped through a leather-bound folder. Hand-drawn maps from the 1950s. Letters with city officials. Minutes from town meetings. Proof that the land had been fought for, preserved. A knock echoed through the barn. A sleek SUV had pulled up. Eleanor Grant. She stepped out, all confidence and calculation, clipboard in hand. "Mr. Cole," she called. "I assume you've seen the hotel." Elijah emerged from the shadows. "We should talk," she said. "Everything was done legally. You were sent notices. While I was out of the country," he shot back. "You pushed it through when I couldn't respond." She smiled thinly. "Progress waits for no one. This land has been in my family for generations. And you built a hotel on it. It brings jobs. Revenue. Prestige," she replied. Elijah stepped closer. "It brings a fight." She turned to leave. "You'll find resisting this unwise." But she had underestimated the man standing before her. Elijah called his lawyer, Jonathan Webb. "Tell me you've got something," Elijah demanded. Jonathan's voice was grim. "They claimed the land was abandoned, that it no longer served agricultural purpose. But your land has active exemption status. They ignored it. So they lied. They filed under commercial development. They broke zoning laws. Worse, part of your land overlaps with protected wetlands. This wasn't just shady. It was illegal. We take it public," Elijah said. Armed with evidence, Elijah confronted the town records office. The clerk hesitated until he presented his case. "They approved construction after they began building," the clerk admitted. "That's not normal." Back at the farmhouse, Elijah laid the papers out before Dana and Jonathan. "They broke the law," Dana whispered. "We're not just stopping this," Elijah said. "We're tearing it all down." The next day, headlines exploded. Actor's family land stolen in HOA scandal. Eleanor scrambled. The HOA called an emergency meeting. Elijah attended. Everything was legal, Eleanor insisted. Elijah stepped forward, papers in hand. You began construction before you had final approval. You rezoned protected land. This isn't just theft. It's fraud. The room erupted. What if your home was next? Elijah asked the crowd. What if someone powerful decided your land was inconvenient? Eleanor's mask cracked. Federal inspectors arrived within a week. The wetland violation alone was enough to halt construction. Lawsuits followed. Public pressure mounted. 3 months later, the hotel was ordered to be dismantled. In its place, Elijah established the Cole Foundation, dedicated to protecting generational land rights. And on the land once stolen, wildflowers bloomed again. Because legacy is not for sale. But the story didn't end there. Over the next several months, Elijah led a growing movement that spread beyond Willow Glen. News outlets chronicled his battle as a landmark case in property rights. His courage inspired other families who had suffered similar quiet land grabs across the country to come forward. Lawsuits began piling up. Politicians took notice. In Washington, a bill informally referred to as the Cole Act began gaining traction. It proposed stricter oversight on community rezoning efforts, mandatory public hearings even in absentee owner cases, and federal protection for legacy lands. Eleanor Grant, once the most powerful woman in Willow Glen, was forced to resign from the HOA board. Her name, once associated with development, became synonymous with overreach and deceit. Meanwhile, Elijah spent his days rebuilding. With the hotel demolished, he restored parts of the land to its former agricultural use, but also transformed a portion into a learning center. The Cole Foundation launched educational programs in partnership with local schools. Children from the area came to learn about the land, the history, and the importance of standing up for what is right. Elijah stood at the front steps of the new Cole Legacy Center one morning, watching as a group of kids ran through rows of blooming lavender. The same land once buried under concrete now thrived again. Dana joined him, holding a fresh pot of coffee. You ever think it would turn into all this? She asked. Elijah smiled. Not in a million years. But maybe Grandpa saw it coming. He always said this land was a story. We just had to keep telling it. And they did. The Cole Legacy Center grew into a model replicated across rural towns. The fight that began with one man's return home sparked a nationwide shift in how communities valued land, heritage, and the voices too often drowned out by power. Elijah never sought fame, but his name would appear in textbooks, court rulings, and community signs. Not because he built something new, but because he saved what should never have been taken. In the quiet of twilight, when the cicadas sang and the wind moved through the wheat fields once again, Elijah would sit on the old porch, a cup of coffee in hand, knowing he had kept the promise made silently to generations before him. The land remains. The story continues.